Welcome to the Hustle Wing podcast. Today we are joined by Mike Romeri, the founder and CEO of Analytics2Go. We're going to chat to him about his service today and just get to know him a little bit. So thank you so much for joining us today, Mike. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Izzy, for having me. I appreciate it.
Cool, cool. So what is Analytics2Go or A to Go?
We're an AI company, and we focus primarily on supply chain and revenue optimization, and
Okay.
uh, and we have some unique ways of providing AI that we think are pretty superior to what other companies offer.
Okay.
So um, let me tell you kind of as a story, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
had another company called Ops Rules, which we sold to Accenture in 2016, and we were an analytics consulting company, and uh, and we had a lot of expertise in demand prediction, and so Accenture bought the company, and they called what we did precision demand forecasting, and so very very useful, and we had a good
Yeah.
experience there. And I really liked the data scientists we met there. And they had this great joke, which was uh, most data science projects are at least 20% data science. And now we use the term AI more often than data science, but
Okay.
the same is true. And the punchline of the joke was that 80% of the project was focused on managing the data. And it's still true today. And
Yeah.
so when most other companies provide AI for supply chain,
Mhm.
they package it with something called process reengineering. And
Okay.
so some of your viewers will understand exactly what that is, but let me explain briefly.
Please.
When you're deploying an enterprise resource planning solution, which is sort of the mainstay of a company's software, typically you also go in and redesign the workflow and the work practice and the business process for the company.
Okay.
And when you do that, it's actually pretty complicated because you have to make it a big bang. You have to have an old process, and then you create a new process, and you
Mhm.
stop using the old process, start using a new process.
Yeah.
And so far so good, except that that design process can take 1 or 2 years, right? So it's
Jeez.
very lengthy, and you have to make some decisions about how you're going to do it. For example, do you have the A team do the design, or do you have the B team do the design?
Mm.
And whichever choice you make has consequences for the business, because you'd like the A team to be available to do the design and to carry out the business, right?
Yeah.
So when based on the experience that we've had at Accenture, we said, well, could we offer AI without changing the business process? And so
Mhm.
that's what we've done, and it's been a pretty interesting journey. So we're in our seventh year now,
Okay.
and unlike other companies like O9 Solutions, for example, who's the largest company in our vertical, who take
Okay.
a year to 2 years to do the design, we actually
Mhm.
can deploy our solutions within 6 months. And so it's a big
Wow.
advantage for companies. And we
Yeah.
do that because we take an incremental approach where we identify pain points that companies' knowledge workers
Mhm.
face and that are susceptible to resolution by AI. So how do we judge that? Well, if there's a problem that has a lot of complex data associated with it, and the
Mhm.
knowledge worker doesn't really have time to fully evaluate the data set that's associated with the decision and has to
Yeah.
make the decision without a full understanding of the consequences of the decision,
Mhm.
probably a good candidate for AI. That's a we would look at as low hanging fruit for an AI solution. And so we do that.
Okay.
And in the course of then working with the knowledge workers on their highest priority pain points, we learn more
Mhm.
about their business. They learn something about AI too. And
Yeah.
then we become more sophisticated. And so we have a continuous improvement approach, which is a lot more humane than the big bang approach that comes with process reengineering. And
Yeah.
humans don't really work with big bang. We talk about big bangs like, you know, sending the, you know, largest telescope into space. That's a big bang
Yeah.
example. Really
Yeah.
hard, fraught with all kinds of failure conditions too. Whereas if you
Yeah.
do things on a continuous improvement basis, you make take one problem at a time, solve it, get some benefit from that, and then begin working on the next one. So that's
Yeah.
how we approach it. And
Mhm.
companies, I think, prefer this approach because it's more the way their people work, and it's
Yeah.
a more reliable approach. And for most companies, it's much quicker and more effective way to take
Mhm.
advantage of AI.
Cool. Okay, cool. So I'm not gonna lie, I don't know much about data science and analytics, but
Yeah,
you've broken it down in layman's terms. So thank you for for
good.
walking me through
Pleasure.
that. So what is your long-term goal? Like what is the end goal for A to go?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, we um, have sort of a goal to bring AI to companies of all sizes. And so in the
Yeah.
short term, we're looking to do that. And so um, an interesting further realization we've had
Mm-hmm.
is that our approach, because we can deploy the AI more quickly than our competitors,
Mm-hmm.
also uncovered the problem that um, they don't have. So if you take a couple of years to deploy AI, you can
Mm-hmm.
probably, because of your cycle time, work with the way data is managed in the typical company. And so
Mm-hmm.
most companies have a data warehouse. The data warehouse is used to report on the financial performance of the company. And
Mm-hmm.
as a result, there are a lot of practices and policies associated
Mm-hmm.
with managing the data that's in the data warehouse.
Yeah.
And rightly so, no problem. However, that means that making changes to the data warehouse, it can be very time consuming. One of the
Mm-hmm.
things that's interesting about AI solutions, and I try to ask people to always remember this, is what we're trying to do is predict human behavior. And
Yeah.
humans are really complicated, right? And they're not the same. And so if we have a model of, let's say, competitive pricing, and that competitive pricing model is partly based on cost, partly based upon the strategies of all the companies you compete with, and
Yeah.
based upon the preferences of all the customers who buy your product. That's pretty
Yeah.
complicated, right?
Yeah.
And all of those things can change over a period of time. And so one
Mm-hmm.
of the things we know when we deploy that AI solution is that if it's working perfectly on day one, and perfectly would mean its predictive accuracy is perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then probably within 12 months, we could anticipate that its predictive accuracy would slip by 20 or 30%.
Okay.
Okay. And it might not be even a valuable solution if that were to
Mm-hmm.
happen. So, what we have to do is manage the models and maintain the service level performance at a high
Mm-hmm.
level. And one of the best ways, now going back to the story at Accenture, is to find new data drivers that help us maintain the predictive accuracy. So
Yeah.
we have a data orchestration solution that we offer to our customers that operates outside of the uh, entire customer's IT landscape and does not interfere with the data warehouse, but
Mm-hmm.
allows us to make changes in the data models we use in real time, virtually.
Okay.
And right. And so by having the data orchestration model in place,
Mm-hmm.
then we can look at our model and say, okay, something's changed. What
Yeah.
data can we use to, as data drivers for our models to improve the accuracy of the models? And so we do
Yeah.
that on a continuous basis. And so what that means also is that the time it takes for us to create the data models for our solutions has to be
Mm-hmm.
less than our total elapsed time in our solutions. So we're much quicker on managing data and
Yeah.
managing the efficiency of the data process.
Okay. Okay. It sounds
And
like you've
so,
got a foolproof way of doing it.
right. And so long term, I think there are a lot of companies right now who understand the need to embrace AI. And the joke, of course, is they barely know how to spell AI, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we can help them learn about AI in their own
Mm-hmm.
context, which is always the best way to learn. And they
Yes.
don't have to get caught up in all the techniques of AI. They have to understand the applications of AI. And as they
Yeah.
understand the applications of AI better, then they can find better and better value propositions within their companies where they can apply AI. And that's the kind of the nature of the relationships we want to build. So we
Okay.
think, obviously we have to make a living and we'd like our company to be valuable, but
Yeah.
the key to that is not focusing on that. It's focusing on creating valuable relationships with our customers and helping
Yeah.
them, create value in their companies using AI in their context.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, I feel like that's really important. Definitely the in the context part, because you can learn about AI anyway, but if it doesn't affect you, then why would you retain that information if it
Right.
doesn't improve your business? So that's cool. That's really important. So, okay, cool. So, what sort of assistance would you need from our community of hustlers, or would you be open to collaborations or pitches in data science? Yeah.
That's a really easy question to answer. So,
Okay.
in my opinion, and I could be very biased, I think our AI offer for supply chain or revenue optimization is the best in the
Mm.
world.
Of
However,
course.
we're also one of the world's best kept secrets. And so, if it doesn't do us any good if people don't know about us, and so
Yeah,
if people within the Hustle Wing network identify opportunities where companies understand the need for AI, have no idea how to go about it, we
yeah.
provide simplest way forward for companies to take advantage of AI. And
Mm,
so, people can reach out to us, and a lot of times, it could be some of the members of the network have an opportunity to help a company, but they need a partner to provide
yeah,
the AI, and we could be that
yeah.
partner.
Awesome, awesome. So just one more question, Mike. I'm sorry. You said the
No problem.
process is 6 months, right? That you can get it
Mhm.
done in 6 months.
Right.
And then afterwards, do you manage the data or does the company manage the data?
It depends. So there's a few different flavors.
Okay.
So the in my opinion, the best way to do it
Mm.
is for us to manage the model on behalf of the company.
Yeah.
Now, one of the questions immediately becomes, even if we manage it, then they still might be worried about the security of their data. And
Mm,
so where they store the data can be variable. So, for example, the least expensive way will be for us to manage it in our cloud, our data
yeah.
cloud. Now, on the other hand, they could manage it in their data cloud and just give our team credentials so that we can manage the models within their cloud.
Yeah.
Or in some cases, companies, either because of their preference or because of their industry, have to
Mm,
maintain all the industry behind their firewall. And in that
mm,
case, it's still possible for us to have credentials to work behind their firewall. And
yeah.
so at that level, just, working from day to day, it could be possible for companies to manage our models. But
Mm,
our offer is not so much to take the model. We basically enable one of your work streams. So, for example,
mm,
um, we have demand planning as a work stream. And
mm,
so you pay a license for demand planning, but then
mm,
you have access to all of our technology that does a lot of different things
mm,
related to demand planning. For example, forecasting is the first step. And
yeah.
so we have a forecast model, but there's a saying which is um, all forecasts are inaccurate, but some are useful, right? So if you know
Okay.
forecasts, okay, if you know forecasts are going to be inaccurate, then how do you
Mm,
use a forecast to improve the performance of the business?
yeah.
Okay. And so the reason forecasts are important is that the biggest driver of supply chain cost and complexity is demand variability. And if you can
Mm,
use a forecast to predict demand variability more accurately, then you can manage the supply of materials or the scheduling of people, et cetera, in a better way. And so we're very
yeah.
good at forecasting, but they're still going to be wrong. And so
Mm,
there's a need to carefully monitor um, actual to plan demand. Now,
mm,
it's one of those things which you can look at it and say, "Wow, how hard can it be?" You just look what you plan and look what the actual is.
yeah.
Well, normally forecasting is done at a higher level, some consolidated level. Okay,
Okay.
and the results of actuals come in at a really disintegrated level. So we work a lot with suppliers to Walmart. Okay.
Okay.
And so a customer might supply hundreds of products to Walmart.
Mm,
Walmart has 5,000 stores. Walmart
mm,
can provide the data to them from each of the stores each day. And
okay.
and the trends in the stores may not be the same.
Yeah.
For example, could be that stores in California are having one performance, while the stores in the Midwest are having a different performance, and the
Yeah.
stores in Florida, where I am, are having a different performance, and New England. And so all of those things become pretty complicated. And if you're a demand planner and you're seeing constant fluctuation every minute of
Yeah.
every day,
Yeah.
I know you don't have snow in South Africa, but we say that we have this concept of snow blindness, where if you're
Okay.
getting out in a snowstorm and there's too much snow going around, after a while, you can't see anything, right? And
Yeah.
with when you're trying to evaluate actual to planned demand,
Mm.
you become snowblind because the variations are so small. And the problem that happens is that you detect a significant change in demand too late. And when that
Yeah.
happens, then it can
Mm.
be very costly to you to um, respond to that change in demand.
Yeah.
And companies like Walmart uh, manage their suppliers very carefully and
Mm.
penalize their suppliers if they don't ship product, quote unquote, on time and in full.
Is
And
it?
the
Yeah.
penalties can be very significant, like up to 5 or 6% of revenue for an
Wow.
average company. And so
Mm.
if you're big companies have a big problem with this. And I learned as we worked with these Walmart suppliers, they have a
Mm.
term called ditch to ditch planning. So there's a
Okay.
ditch on each side of the road, right? And so
Okay.
first they're short of product and they end up in one ditch, and then they go through
And
the
then how much?
calculations, and they're very complicated, and
Yeah.
the knowledge worker doesn't have time to fully understand all the data or all the
Yeah.
ramifications of the decision. So then they
Yeah.
overplan, and then they go
Yeah.
back. So it's ditch to ditch planning. With AI, we can detect the trend earlier, and we can
Mm.
also make an optimal decision recommendation that doesn't
Mm.
overplan in the opposite direction.
Okay. Okay, cool. That's kind of complicated, but I get it.
Okay, good. Well, the next time you go into a big store, I hope you'll appreciate all that AI did to get the product to the shelf at the time you wanted it.
Definitely, I will. I promise. Thank
Great,
you
Izzy.
so much, Mike, for your
My pleasure.
time and sharing, analytics to go with us. I feel like you guys, yeah, like I said, it's complicated, but you did well explaining it to me, and I get the need behind it. I mean, I'm sure you reduce a whole lot of waste and create a whole lot of, more extra profit for these companies. So that's the
Right,
most important thing. So yeah,
right.
so it's been amazing chatting to you. Thank you again for your time, and
My
we'll
pleasure.
connect again soon.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye.